Hey guys, welcome to this video. I really wanted to talk today about how you can notice as a generator when you're getting a sacral response. So if you're brand new to human design and you're like just tuning into all of this stuff, I'm gonna take it back to the basics for a moment, because even for me, like I have worked with astrology and human design in a very grounded, embodied way as a pathway for deeper self-awareness, for shifting subconscious beliefs, for accessing more of my potential in very legitimate, practical ways. Even I get so much from occasionally going back to the basics and building from the ground up. So let's take a moment to talk about human design, sacral response, and like kind of set the tone for this video so that it hopefully can really hit home and give you some practical insight and information and tools to integrate into your day-to-day living. I'm going to be folding some laundry as we talk because I have a lot of laundry to fold. Human design is a esoteric profiling system. So if you've heard of like Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram, right? Like there are these systems that can help us understand how are we different, right? And not that it's only about being different, but it's about understanding that we have our own quirks and eccentricities, and I would say our own templates for understanding reality. And when we can really understand what those are and work with them, we just set ourselves up for a better success, because society, the culture at large, mainstream media, it's going to give you an endless smorgasbord of narratives that you can buy into and herd mentalities that you can fall into. But a lot of those don't really, suffice to make you feel like you're really living true to who you are. And things like human design and astrology and the Enneagram, I have found and experienced directly that they really can offer so much powerful wisdom to just live life in accordance with your own beliefs, your own values, and be a better human in the world because of that. So human design, right? There are these 4 core types, and one of them is called the generator type. So this video is just for generators, unless you are listening for a generator. And the generators in human design, I like to call us the catalysts in a way, because the way our chart is built is that of the 9 different centers, the sacral center is lit up, and the sacral center is responsible for gestational, creative, fertile, sexual energy. And we need energy to make anything happen in life, right? Like me making this warm cup of cacao, or folding laundry, or whoever made these clothes, right? Or deciding to get up in the morning and go out for a walk, or sit down at your desk and do your work, or go out and do your work, whatever it is, we need that source of energy to be able to even put something into action. And as a generator, that is our cornerstone of our design, of our energetic template, is to have a well-fed and a well-running sacral center, the center for sexuality, creative expression, fertility. As generators, we're here to really know how to care for our energy in a good way that allows us to access it sustainably and regularly and consistently. And I've been working as a personal coach for about 8 years now, with the centric ways in which I work with people being deeply emotionally therapeutic, somatic, and body informed healing and coaching, and the astrological coaching. So really helping people understand who they are and what they want and why they do what they do and how they can really become the best version of themselves. And the question and the kind of obstacle that I see and hear most often from people is, how do I know if I'm having a healthy sacral response to something? How do I know if something is truly correct for me? As generators, right, our sacral center is our leading force for our life. That is the place that we really want to be holding more of our awareness, is how do I feel in my creativity, in my expression, in my aliveness for life, in my sense of fertility for life, right? It's a interchangeable term. Yes, fertility is about conceiving and growing a child, but it's also about conceiving an idea and being able to bring that idea into life, having that fertile energy to really nurture something into its fullness. And as generators, we really navigate life most correctly. I won't say better or worse or good or bad, because I don't think those are necessarily the right terms, and we'll talk about that. Is to listen for the response you get from your sacral center, the response you get from deep in your belly, if something feels correct or incorrect for you. And The first thing I'll say, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I've been saying this for so long, a way you can tell if you're having a proper sacral response is if you literally feel like an expansiveness in your body about something. You know, I mentioned it's not about good or bad. I mentioned it's not about better or worse, because there's actually, I would say, a level of like immorality to the sacral response. A little bit of irreverence, I think, is really healthy when we're working with our sacral response and any of these like tools, right, that can become so laden down with like dogma and intellectualization and right and wrong and, you know, all these things. It's not political. The sacral response is not political. It's not religious. It's mechanical. It's like the intelligence of your soma, your body. And that can be a little confusing, right? Because I'll use myself as an example. I know I'm having a sacral response of yes to something when I feel it like take up a lot of space in my body in a way that, think of it like this, right? It's like if you have a train track, like a toy train track, and you've got like a little caboose that you can put stones in, and there's a slight downhill slope on your train track, your toy train track. And you put in like one stone and maybe it doesn't move, or like 2 stones, 3 stones, and it's on this, it's gonna start picking up speed and going down, right? And for me, that's what a sacral response sometimes feels like in my body, is the invitation into something, or if something I know is like available for me, or whether it's like a situation or an experience or an invitation or an opportunity or a person. It's like the more it comes into my field and I get to feel my response to it, when it's a yes for me, it's like there's this weight that's picking up in my embodied experience. It's like moving me towards that. And there can also be a weight in my embodied experience that's like dropping me away from it. And that's when I know it's more of a no sensation. And I think this is really important to speak out, because I know I have these experiences a lot, and I've talked with people who have as well. And I think it's really common that something can still kind of scare you and feel really uncomfortable and feel almost as if you want to say no, but it can still be a yes. That's where it gets really tricky, and you have to get really good at listening, because sometimes it's nervousness, right? Like maybe a certain opportunity is presented to you for work, or a certain experience for like travel, or a new learning curve, or a person, right? Like there can be a sense of nerves, but you just want to listen as if like almost you're like on this teeter-totter. Is that building like weighted feeling making me like with my body want to lean in, or actually no, it's like I want to get away from that? And that's a huge way I can notice a sacral response is like, it sounds kind of silly because it's like a very animated example, but the more animated the better when it comes to our sacral response as generators, because we're really here to feel things with our body. So we want to get better at feeling, and then we will get better at noticing what the sacral response is. Second component that's really helpful for understanding your sacral response is when something keeps coming up, and this gets a little bit more subtle. This is a little bit more of like the subtle body, or like I would say maybe the spirit body, or tracking synchronicities or themes in life, because the sacral, right, it is it's creative energy, and it's sexual energy. And by sexual energy, I'm not speaking like explicitly. It's sexual energy is all of life, right? Like sexual energy is what it takes to birth something in the world. It's in art, it's in music, it's in dancing, it's in our bodies, it's in our smiles, right? It's this like transmission of spirit through the body, or through an art form or creation or what have you. I notice that when something is like continually presenting itself in my reality, there's usually some kind of sacral response tracking with that. And I notice this when one, it could be like I'm seeing things like signs and symbols. If I keep seeing something repeatedly, I truly feel like it's life, God, creator, whatever you want to call it, giving me opportunities to have a more calcified response. Because sometimes I'll talk about an example again from my own life. I think that's a good method for me. I've learned that sometimes I'm hesitant to do it because I'm like, I want to make this about you, but I think personal examples can be effective. So there's like this work project I'm really wanting to launch, and I've felt some hesitation around it, even though my initial really firm response was like, yes, that's exactly what I need to be doing right now, and I'm going to move with that and start promoting it and putting it out there again. And then I had hesitation more from my mind, like, oh, but I already did that, and I already did that, and maybe I need to do something new, or all these different thoughts, right? Even though my body gave me a really strong response of, that excites me, that feels really good, I want to do that. Now, what's happened in the last few weeks is I keep seeing, when I'm like going out and doing errands, or, you know, I went out and had lunch with my family today, and I am seeing these symbols and signs that are very on theme with a very unique component of part of this service, this offering that I create. And for me, it's like each time I see it, right, that I get this response factor of, okay, I get it, you're confirming for me that response was correct and true, or I'm confirming for me, right? And that's one way it can happen, is if you have a strong response to something. But if you start doubting it, I truly believe that we can like get bolstered reinforcements. I know that's like, you know, I'm just getting repetitive with my words now, but we can get reinforcement, because thriving as a generator means that you're moving through life from a state of responsiveness, from a state of opening up to life as you move through the world, opening up to the experiences that you might have, to the people that might cross your path, because we can't receive a blessing if our eyes are closed to seeing it, right? And maybe this will be the third tip. So many things in my life that have happened that I feel have been me like listening to my response system in my body, not always my intellect, but my responsiveness came because I was moving from a place of openness, right? And to receive invitations, to receive opportunities, to receive the magic of life, we have to be open to it. Don't get me wrong, I definitely have days where I do not want to be open to life, and I just like put my shields up and I put my, you know, masks on, so to say, and I want to be internal and not perceived, and not too open to invitations or stimulus. Is just like me time or recharge, or not wanting new influence or opportunities, or whatever you want to call them. But all of the magic comes when I'm open, moving through the world, you know, and there's a wisdom and openness. I think that's a whole different video. That's more of a different topic of things, but open doesn't mean that you let anything and everything into your field, or anything and anyone into your field. You need discernment and good boundaries, and you need to be able to hold your own frame so that you can, you know, really understand what's gonna like feed and nourish what you want to feed and nourish. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Last one that I want to share is linked to like the amount of energy you feel after you do something. This is where we have to be a little willing to experiment and be a little willing to push our comfort zones, because something that I do not condone, and actually, you know, for a while it made me a little resistant to talking a lot about things like human design and astrology, because I notice a theme, and I've seen this in myself in like previous iterations, but I can see this pattern that unfolds where people will hyper-identify with the system rather than the embodied experience they're having, right? And that I do not condone that at all. I'm a big proponent for taking action and experimenting and making it embodied and grounded and practical, to the extent that you don't even have to talk about it, you're just doing it, right? And like a lot of people I meet out in the world, like I don't immediately talk about a lot of the things that I'm into, because I don't really feel the need to. It's like an integrated part of who I am, and if there's an opening for it, or if it feels correct, I will share about it. But a lot of the time I don't really need to, unless I'm teaching or coaching or guiding in like a highly specified high-level container or session. Because ideally all of these tools, it's not about sticking to the tool, it's about utilizing the tool to access something in yourself to be you, right? And I think that's really important, and I'm always going to be an advocate for that and a proponent for that. And I think it's important to say that, because there are so many like astrologers and human design coaches in the world right now, and it's brilliant, but I think a lot of it can really quickly get disembodied and just keep people in their heads, like who they think they are and what they think and they think and they think. But it's like, but is it integrated in your body and in how you move through the world? Like, they don't even need to talk about it, you know, unless you're learning or coaching or practicing. So how you feel in your body after something happens can be a great barometer, especially if, like, let's say you're kind of new to human design, or you've gotten a little rusty and fallen off the wagon, and you're not really like practicing your strategy and authority, or utilizing these tools in a way that's like integrated in your lifestyle. Try things out, because as a generator, you will get results and answers from your body. and from putting something into practice and just seeing how it goes, right? Like even if you're a little iffy about something, or oh, I don't know if it's a yes or a no, lean in and try it, because then you will find out. And of course, like due diligence, like not something that's going to harm you or hurt you emotionally, physically, energetically, anything like that, but like an opportunity or going to a new place or trying something out. It's like, do it with the intent of it being an experiment. And right, like Ra, the creator of human design, talked about this a lot. He said it's all an experiment with a level of intention of, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just gonna set an intention with myself that my body will tell me and help me understand through this experience if it's right or wrong for me, or if it's the right or wrong direction for me, right? Try it out. You can do this with your work, you can do this with your creative expression, you can do this with the kind of people you hang out with, right? It's like where you're investing your energy. Let yourself experiment. Like, you know, if let's say I wanted to expand what I'm talking about in teaching, I could endlessly ruminate about it and think about it, which I have done. Or I could try it out. Say, okay, I'm gonna fully go into this experiment, and I'm gonna talk about this, and I'm just gonna notice, how did that feel? And be honest with myself, and then take stock and move forward. So I just wanted to come on and share this video and talk about some things that have been really helpful for me in like really integrating the mechanics of human design and components of what I work with my clients to access their own inner truth and to move through the world in a way that feels fulfilling and authentic and energizing for them. So let me know what you think.